you're getting some reports out now. New York Times has a report that the Iranian nuclear sites might not have been totally obliterated. So you got this piece here. Strike set back Iran's nuclear program by only a few months, U.S. report says. Preliminary classified findings indicate that the attack sealed off the entrances to 2 facilities but did not collapse their underground buildings. And here's why, actually, it wasn't that good. And what Trump did is just not that impressive. Sean Parnell, who is the spokesman for the Pentagon, he responded. He said, we dropped 14 30,000-pound bombs directly on their target, 420,000 pounds of bombs. It doesn't take a genius to know that these nuclear facilities have been completely obliterated. New York Post, though, even, which is a little bit more right-wing, is hitting it from another angle. It says, top Trump official calls U.S. airstrikes on Iran pointless, suggests deep state swayed press. Now, this is great clickbait, and because it's a total red herring here. The Trump official reportedly called the U.S. airstrikes pointless before we knew what their effect was. He was just opposed to them in principle. So that this actually has no bearing whatsoever on whether or not they collapse the nuclear facilities. It's just a guy who said, look, I just disagree with military intervention generally. And they're trying to turn this into a narrative that says that the strikes weren't effective. The New York Times is going at it more directly, saying, well, they didn't even stop the program. To me, this is total desperation. The libs are just out of ways to criticize Trump. And the right, in many ways, is out of ways to criticize Trump. Trump is he's a coward. He is getting pushed around by the Ayatollah. Or, on the flip side, he is a maniac, belligerent. He's going to start World War III. He is going to get American troops killed. He is going to get us embroiled in an endless war in the Middle East. And then the criticisms, even from the extreme right. He's just doing Israel's bidding. He's going to do whatever Netanyahu says. Didn't look like that yesterday. He's just going to get us embroiled in a regime change war. I don't see any regime change wars. He's going to this. And Trump defied all of them. Carried out probably the most successful military operation of our lifetimes. Just so, it remains to be seen if the ceasefire holds. But assuming it holds, it was just a complete grand slam. It was a hole in one. It was just unbelievable. I've exhausted my sports metaphors. So they're out of ways to criticize Trump. The only way they can criticize it now is, I don't know. Maybe it didn't totally 100% work. But it probably did. I don't know. Maybe it didn't. But that's your best criticism? Well, maybe it just only 99% worked. It didn't 100% work. Yeah, okay. All right. Go back to the drawing board, guys. If you're listening to this show with ads, why? I know why, because of my great ad transitions. Well, Daily Wire Plus gets you this show ad-free, uncensored, no content cut up for made-up platform policies. It is also where you get every other Daily Wire show from the most trusted voices in the conservative media. Do you want exclusive access to Am I Racist, the #1 documentary of the decade? Well, that's on Daily Wire Plus. You want Jordan Peterson's new series, Parenting? That's exclusively on Daily Wire Plus. When real news breaks, Daily Wire Plus is where you get the story first. DailyWirePlus.com. Join the community of people who believe in values and tradition and common sense. Now, CNN is responding in a slightly different, though equally farcical way. CNN is not focusing on the effectiveness or ineffectiveness of the bunker buster attack. CNN is trying to cultivate sympathy for the Ayatollah, because you just misunderstand. You ugly Americans, you just don't have enough cultural enrichment to understand that when the Iranians chant death to America, it's actually an act of friendship.
Israel stays in place, and that is part of the discussion, right?
Yes, absolutely part of the discussion. And, I remember, Dan, at one point being in Tehran years ago, and they're chanting death to America all around me, even as I say, oh, I'm an American reporting for CNN, and they were happy to speak to me. So that those two is sort of jarring realities of the chant, and yet the friendliness have existed together.
Mostly friendly murder threats is what it is. We had mostly fiery but mostly peaceful protests. Now we have mostly friendly death to America chants. Going to have to go back to the drawing board on that one too. I don't think that's persuading anyone. Did you like that clip? Thank you. I'm glad you did. I did my best to bring you a winsome and insightful and pithy clip. If you want more of them, you have to ring the bell and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.